It's Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, and I'm back at the Air Zoo, or the Kalamazoo Air Zoo, trying to finish up on my previous visit from September of this year, when I missed part of it due to bad advice from one of the docents. Here we go again. It's a much busier day here on the weekend than it was when I was here before. So I've already seen all this stuff here, so I'm gonna just bypass it and go straight out the back, which is the area I missed the last time. See, this is the thing, as somebody else told me, there's a sign over here saying exit, and I don't believe this screen over here, which says more exhibits this way, was operational when I was here last, and it just looked like this was probably the back way out.
Come on, Maxie. Wait. Okay. That's the bayonet.
What's the bayonet?
This is the gun down here, and then the next one.
Don't have much time, as I'm actually here in the Kalamazoo area for another reason. I only have about an hour to spend here.
Successful in breaking Allied military communication.
Okay, we start out with an FM2 Wildcat. And this is a Ryan PT-22 Recruit. And up in front, a DC-3 in the guise of a C-47 Skytrain. Fairchild PT-23 Cornell. A Tim N2T1 Tutor. And this is a Naval Aircraft Factory Yellow Peril. And a Boeing Stearman Cadet. Looks like there's a little link trainer. Yeah, a little link trainer back here in the corner. And there's something hanging up here. I didn't see any signage for it. A Marine Corps glider. And this is a Vultee BT-13A, or SNV-1 Valiant. The Vultee Valiant. And this is a North American Texan. Nice little demonstration on the WASPs, women Air Force service pilots, which was a thing in World War II. Considerable notoriety therein. I remember reading a book, I believe it was called Those Wonderful Women in Their Flying Machines, and it was all about the WASP WASPs. Good read. And this is marked up as Blue Angels. And it's a North American T-28 Trojan.
Somebody else wants
and a Douglas AD-4NA Skyraider. Nice battleship model. Absolutely bristling with guns, as one would expect. They're everywhere. And this is supposed to be the USS Wisconsin, launched in 1945. And this is a Douglas SBD-3 Dauntless. This is a Wright R1820-32 Cyclone 9 engine. Looks like the one dug out of a crash site. The engine on display was originally installed in a Douglas SBD-1 in 1942 while undergoing maintenance at Naval Air Station San Diego. The aircraft was sent to Carrier Qualification Training Unit in Glenview, Illinois. In 1942, the aircraft crashed into Lake Michigan while on a training flight, taking the life of Ensign Herbert McMinn. After the aircraft was recovered from Lake Michigan in 1994, the engine was eventually removed and prior restoration efforts chose not to use it. The effects of corrosion while sitting on Lake Michigan for 52 years and then left unprotected since recovery can be seen. Another part of the same engine. And over here we have a FG-1D Corsair. And this is a Pratt & Whitney R2800 double WASP engine. And of course the F6F Hellcat. And we're back where we came in to this particular hangar. Yeah, I've walked all around here and I don't see any signage for this glider up here. It's a problem with this museum, which I noted in my earlier video, that they just don't seem to bother with anything hanging up above as far as telling you what it is. And this is a Hiller OH-23B Raven 2-seat helicopter. It's kind of interesting how this is set up. It looks like the primary pedals are set up for the pilot to straddle them in the center instead of seated over here. It's interesting. And then another set of pedals here for this position. I'm not sure which is the primary one, but it does look like it's wide enough to hold 3 people. Let's see what it says here. Developed from the Hiller UH-12 helicopter, these arrived in Korea in 1951 and were used for medevac. Later saw use in the early years of the Vietnam War as a scout. Yeah, it doesn't mention anything in the signage about how many people it could seat, but it surely looks like it could hold 3 people. I suppose that's why there's a position for a pilot in the middle. Oh, there is a sign for this glider, not for the other one. This is a Waco or Waco or Waco CG-4A Hadrian, used in D-Day and probably other places as well. Towed from England to Normandy by the C-47 Skytrain. Yep. I always look up how to pronounce the name of that company, and then I always forget it the next time I need to say it. And this glider also seems to have no signage that I've been able to spot. So we have a Jeep here. Jeeps flew over the beaches and landed behind enemy lines, transported in gliders. This is a Studebaker USG 2.5 ton or deuce and a half truck. Not the kind I used to drive at Patch Barracks in Stuttgart, Germany. I don't know who made those, but they were still deuce and a halves. Okay, I think we've exhausted this hangar. Now this is supposed to be the Apollo hangar over here, but there's a couple of non-Apollo looking things right here. Dare to imagine the Milner Motor Cars electric car. A 4-door, 4-seat plug-in hybrid electric car designed from the ground up to be safe, environmentally friendly, energy efficient, easy to use, stylish, and affordable. I've read the sign twice and I don't see anything about years on this. It could be yesterday, it could be something from 20, 30 years ago. I think that they would bother to put the year on here. I keep thinking I'm missing it, I just don't see it. Anyway, 4 seats, 4 doors, 40 horsepower electric motor, battery capacity 15 kilowatt hours, electric range 100 miles. It's supposedly a prototype, but it looks like it's old. This doesn't look like something just designed today. And this one looks like a flying version of it. It has fold-up wings on it. The Milner Motors Air Car. And it's too dark here to read the sign. The lights look modern. Okay, now we're in the small space hangar. Here we have a mock-up of one of the lifting body test vehicles, and Gort from The Day the Earth Stood Still, and Robbie the Robot from Forbidden Planet. And now there's a sign for this. Artifacts suspended, please look up. A Mariner 4. I don't see what it says, if this is a duplicate or just a mock-up. It's clearly not the one that they launched. There's a little space shuttle display and movie. And a mock-up of the nose of a space shuttle. And a ride for kids. Large-scale model of the space shuttle stack. NASA spin-offs. A NASA spin-off is the technology that originally developed for aeronautics and space, but is eventually used to benefit others. NASA has been responsible for thousands of spin-offs, many of which have helped improve our lives. People are often surprised to learn just how many NASA spin-offs we use in our lives every day. Ski boots, jogging shoes, various tools, battery technology, electric drills, helmets, more helmets, water bottles, smoke detectors, Speedo goggles. I don't know why the knife and the golf club are there, but it's an astronaut type knife. It's not a spin-off. It's just sort of stuck in this exhibit. And there's a helicopter sitting here, which we'll identify shortly. Well, this is supposed to be a duplicate of the cupola observation module on the International Space Station.
Tim is here, Dominic is here, Tim is here with the boys. I would guess they're probably over by the rides.
And this is a Piasecki HUP-3 retriever helicopter used aboard U.S. Navy aircraft carriers for search and rescue, plane guard, and general transportation. After John Glenn landed in the Pacific Ocean returning from his orbital flight in 1962, this type of helicopter was used to transport John Glenn from the destroyer USS Noah to the primary recovery vessel, the aircraft carrier USS Randolph. And there's sort of a Stonehenge-y thing here. This looks like one of the boilerplate Mercury capsules. Let's see if I'm right. I can't get far enough away to get a lot of these things in frame. El Kabong 1 Gemini boilerplate. Yep. So they were testing different things such as parachute systems and so on using this. This is apparently one of the ones. I was saying this was Mercury, but I guess it's supposed to be Gemini. It is a little bigger than the Mercury. And it's not configured with the same things as the Gemini would be because it's not supposed to be crewed. So yeah, the primary role to test the Gemini landing system. Feasibility of recovering spacecraft on land using extendable skid-type landing gear, a steerable gliding parachute or parasail, and solid fuel retro rockets to help slow the spacecraft. So not much to really see in there, but interesting artifact nonetheless. This sample here is a slice from one of the largest rocks brought back from the moon. It's named after astronaut Dave Scott, who collected the 9,614 gram or 21 pound 3 ounce rock during Apollo 15 mission. And there's some sort of a mock-up or something of a Pioneer 6 satellite. And this is a glove box, probably of the type used for examining lunar samples, I'm guessing. I don't see a sign for it. Maybe it's all the way around here. Nope, no sign. And they say it's a Telstar. Look up. I don't see anything above me. Maybe they took it down. Little living room display, people watching the first lunar landing on TV. This is very similar to my situation when I watched the first landing on our black and white TV. This is a Gemini crew trainer capsule. So, sort of a mock-up, but enough. I can't get a very good shot in there with the glare. And a model of a Gemini. And the escape tower. For what appears to be a Mercury capsule mock-up. Console with no description that I can see. Here's a Talos missile. And kind of a bogus Mercury capsule replica. I think there's a lot of fiction in the instrumentation there. And this is a Rocketdyne A6 engine, such as was used on the Redstone rocket. And a nice model of a Redstone rocket with a Mercury capsule on top. An Atlas sustainer engine. The Atlas had, as I recall, 3 engines, and they would drop off part of it with the outer 2 engines and just leave the middle one going. I think that's the way it worked. Yeah, so the RP1 and 3 engine configuration, usual stage and a half or parallel staging. 2 of its 3 engines were jettisoned during ascent, but the fuel tanks and other structural elements were retained, allowing the sustainer engine to keep going for a while. This is a combustion chamber from a Titan II rocket, which was the kind used to launch Gemini capsules into orbit. It's missing the large bell, but this is the combustion chamber. The actual bell would make it look a lot larger if it was attached. Alright. A lot of good stuff here. A lot of it's really oriented to people who know nothing about the space program, kids and so on. If you're already pretty well versed in it, a lot of this seems pretty, well, a little silly, but you have to keep in mind the wide range of knowledge levels of people coming to museums. Various things for kids here. Various types of early pressure suits. Saturn V launch gantry mock-up. It's supposed to be a piece of a Saturn V sitting there.
Attention all personnel. Countdown clock will start on my mark in T-3 minus 3 minutes.
A small-scale mock-up of the LM, a J2 rocket engine, which is the kind that was used on the upper stages of the Apollo spacecraft. Now they have a sign here that says look up, but if you look up you see nothing, but way over there is a mock-up of our Surveyor 3 spacecraft, the second spacecraft of its type to execute a soft landing on the moon's lunar surface. The moon's lunar surface. Isn't that redundant? Oh well. And just for yucks, we've got a Terminator T-800 head here. And of course we got to have Iron Man. I see R2-D2. And C-3PO. There's the satellite which was identified earlier. The sign was very much out of place. Nowhere near where the artifact is. All right, and up there is a gallery of drawn portraits of famous aviation people. I think I've seen everything here. This is some sort of wooden mock-up of a lunar roving vehicle. This is not quite like the one they actually used. They have a picture of what they actually used, and then they show this, which is quite different, but okay. Maybe it was built to test the tires or something. This is a I'm not sure if it's one of the flown ones or just one of the ones used for training or testing, but it's supposed to be one of the little capsules that they put the chimps in, which the U.S. space program used before they allowed humans to fly in space. They had, I'm not sure of this particular model, but they had little lights and handles that would go off, and the chimp had been trained to pull on the handles corresponding to the lights. There was some sort of electrodes on their head and chest and so on. And there's a cable there which may plug in there, I don't know. They also had electrodes on their feet that would shock them if they made a mistake or just got lethargic and didn't bother. I remember reading how the Russians would just send up dogs and cats and other things. Everybody knows about Laika and so on. They don't usually tell that all those animals died for the most part because they didn't have any provision for keeping them alive once they'd launched. But other ones did come back to Earth, still alive. But the one, I don't know if it was Ham or Enos, one of the early chimps, there was a malfunction with the rocket, and the sequencer was giving the poor animal shocks, even though it was doing the right thing with the levers. Well, this is worth coming to. I'm glad I finally got to see this part of the collection, although the space part impresses me less than the World War II hangar. Still, there's nothing in the World War II hangar that they don't have a lot of other ones in just about every other aviation museum. This is a kick motor from a Titan solid rocket, or it's a solid rocket kick motor for a Titan. Redstone missile gyroscope. And a V2 rocket thrust chamber. And there's a model of Goddard's first liquid-fueled rocket. I think they've got, I don't know if it's the original or just a really well-made replica in the Smithsonian Air and Space. And then we pop back out into the main hangar. Which again is covered in some detail in my earlier video on this same museum.